All right, in this video, we're going to cover how to use Ocean.io to build target lists of your ideal prospects directly from the platform. In roughly 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to learn how to build a full list of your ideal leads and prospects using Ocean. We're going to cover the segmentation function. We're going to cover how to find people and contacts from the platform, how to find companies from the platform. We're going to cover the lookalike function and a lot of other things. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Leo, and I lead the go-to-market and client delivery department at Beanstalk Consulting, which is an urban agency. We send about 2 to 3 million emails per month on behalf of our clients. We're also behind the team behind ScaleMail, which is an email infrastructure product. On aggregate, ScaleMail customers are sending about 20 to 30 million emails a month from ScaleMail inboxes. Let's dive right in. So on the platform, you're going to see the home section. If you want to start building a list of your companies or your prospects directly, let's go to the search section, which is going to be the most relevant to you. And specifically, you can build two types of searches here. You can either do a company search or you can do a people search. Now, the company search, typically I always start with the company search instead of starting with the people or contact search. This is simply because we like to qualify the companies up front. So we like to describe the companies first, qualify them, and then find the contacts, relevant contacts at those companies. All right, so let's go to a new tab, which is going to open up a new search with no pre-existing filters. If you're new to the platform, you're not going to have any of these searches right here at the top of your screen. And you're just going to open a new tab right here. So just open a new tab, simply go to the companies section, and then you can start building your list and using your filters to find companies. Now, in this case, for the sake of this example, I'm going to build a list of PE firms. And then after that, we're going to cover the people section as well. We're going to find the actual contacts. Now, one thing that we always like to do with Ocean, which is, really because Ocean is great at this, is starting from company lookalikes. You see this filter right here? This basically allows you to input up to 10 different company domains. And then Ocean is going to go and try to find similar companies that are similar to these 10 company domains that you gave an input right here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to copy and paste a bunch of these company domains, which are PE firms. And after that, we're going to see what Ocean can come up with in terms of similar companies. All right, we have about 9 different company domains in here. And then we're going to click on the search button, and then the search is going to start. Now, you also want to include other filters right here, such as size, right? Let's say you want to filter your companies, so you only want to find companies between 11 and 50 employees. You can select that right here. You can also do a custom filter or custom range of employees right here at the bottom, and then close this filter with this button right here. You can also go here and then select, let's say you only want to get companies in the United States. We're going to go ahead and select US right here as the location. And then moving on, there's a bunch of other filters that we can use, such as department size, which is really interesting. Let's say you want to filter for companies with only a set number of people in, let's say, HR or marketing or sales. This filter is going to be very relevant to you in this case. And let's say we're going to do that because our list, as you can see, is already 10,000 plus companies. Now we're going to go here. Let's say you only want companies with a minimum of 3 people in the marketing department and a maximum of 10. And then we're going to allow Ocean to update the search right here. And then one thing that I forgot to do is in the lookalike section right here, you can select the degree of precision. So you can go here. In this case, we selected C, which is the least precise, right? If you select A in this case, this is going to be the most precise option. And so this is going to give you the best companies that are the most relevant, the most similar to these companies that you gave an input right here. In this case, I'm going to do that. And we got 48 companies. 48 companies is a little bit too low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this filter right here and say I only want a minimum of 1 person in the marketing department, which is hopefully going to increase the list or the size of our list of companies right here. There we go. So we found 530 companies in this case. We can also use other filters such as social media filters. You can also select office location, industries. This is based on Ocean. So Ocean is going to categorize every single company and determine the most relevant industry based on the company information. Website traffic, technologies, funding, and also as even more filters that you can go here and select, such as e-commerce. You want to filter for e-commerce brands. This is a very useful filter in that case because it allows you to only select and filter for relevant brands and companies that sell products on their website. Location count, industries. This is a third-party classification for industries. Year founded, on your revenue, and so many more filters that Ocean allows you to select right here. Now, for the sake of this example, we are going to close these filters and we are going to proceed to export this list of companies. Now, what I do recommend here is to hide the lookalike references so you can actually see the new companies that Ocean was able to find. As you can see, all of these are supposed to be relevant companies that are similar to the ones that you gave in input, and obviously respect all of your filters right here. So what I'm going to do now is we have 130 companies. Let's say I'm satisfied with that number of companies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them. So simply select all the 530 companies and then export them as a CSV. Now here, it gives you an option to essentially select the columns that you want to export in your CSV. Typically, I do a customized approach with just a few columns that I want in my CSV. I don't want all the columns, like all 44 columns, because only a few of those are going to be relevant. Typically, what I include is obviously the company name, company domain, which are done by default, the size of the company description, the industry. I don't do the annual revenue, associated employee online. Now, the difference between size and associated employees, size is essentially the range, 11 to 50, 51 to 200, and so on. I believe it's the size of the company that's displayed on the LinkedIn profile page of the company. Well, associated employees online, this is the exact number of employees that are associated with that company, again, on the LinkedIn page. This is going to be typically more precise based on what I've seen because the size is a self-reported piece of data. So the owner of the page on LinkedIn, of the company page, can go there and select, this is 11 to 50 employees at this company, or 51 to 200, right? The associated employees online is the most relevant one because it is the exact number of employees that work at that company currently. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see country. That's also what I include in my export CSV. And that's pretty much it. I don't do any of the other things, any other columns, except just the last one is the company link URL. Besides that, we don't do anything else. Ocean allows you to select many more columns, up to 44 pieces of data for each company. Simply click on the export button. And then as you can see, in literally 30 seconds or less, it gave me the option to export all the companies right here and download my CSV file from this button. Now, one thing that you can do as well, in case you miss that export that pops up, the export notification pops up at the bottom right corner of your screen, you can also go to activities. And in here, you're going to see the CSV export ready with the 530 companies that were exported for you. So that's it. It's very simple, very easy, very fast to go ahead and create an exported company list. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try to find people at these companies. Now, there's a couple of ways you can go about it. You can either stay on this page, stay in this section with the company search, and then select all the companies and then click on find people. This is going to redirect you to the people section, to the contact search. And obviously, a whole different bunch of filters are going to pop up here because we are now talking about contacts. So for example, person, location, job title. This is actually very interesting. So this is going to filter for decision makers based on, I think we have manager and above in terms of scenario level, as you can see here. And then person, department, skills, keywords, and so on. We also have more filters right here. It's just followers, having current role, job experience, and so on, even connections on the LinkedIn profile. So there's a lot more filters right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to find principals, partners, executive partners, and so on in these companies. So what we're going to do here, we actually don't need to reselect the size in terms of employees here. This filter, the headquarter location, you don't need to do this because we already did that in the company search. Again, we already are only looking at people and contacts in that list of 530 companies that we select in the beginning. So what you need to do here is simply only look at the contact filters. So job title, we're going to go here and then type principal, and we're also going to type partner. As you can see, the two job titles that we gave an input are going to pop up right here at the bottom. And we're going to close this thing, and then we have about 857 contacts in this case. Let's say you're now satisfied with this search. You can also do person location, by the way, which is actually very important that we do this. And so what we're going to do is we are only going to filter for United States as far as the person location. And then we're going to close this thing. And again, we have roughly probably 800, yeah, 786 contacts. Let's say we are happy with this result. And by the way, you can see here that Ocean limits the number of people with contacts. So you can see, you can preview right here. We can unlock more results if you want to look at more of the contacts that Ocean is proposing to you right here. And you can simply select, let's say you want to see 30 more results, you can add them. It's going to cost about 0.2 credits per search result, but it's a very minimal, very low cost just to do a preview. And so as you can see here, let's say we're happy with the search. We're going to go ahead here, select all of them, select all these 786 contacts that we've been here. You can also enrich by email and phone number, which you can do from this section right here. In this case, I'm not going to do that because we have another enrichment process and Wordful with emails and phone numbers. We actually don't need phone numbers in this case for this list, but we have a separate work for Wordful in another tool, which use Clay and Bitscale to essentially enrich for emails and phone numbers. But typically, based on what I've seen in my tests, Ocean's enrichment for emails is pretty solid as well. So in this case, I'm not going to do that, and I'm just going to export to CSV. Now, similarly to what we saw in the company search, you can select here the specific columns that you want to export, right? I always do a customized export because Ocean gives you 56 different columns that you can export in your CSV, and we definitely do not need all of them. So I'm going to do a customized export, and then on the next page, it's going to tell me, okay, these are all the columns that you're going to see in the export CSV. At this point, they're already selected. Typically, what I do is just first name, location, email. This is typically empty. Last name, and then industries, associate employees online. Again, this is the specific number of employees. Size, this is the range of employees. Company description, generate company phones, and generate company emails in case any were found. Country, headquarters, state, headquarters, street address, and company link and URL. Those are all the fields that I select. And again, if you need any more of these fields, you can simply select them right here. Let's say you want technologies, you want a column with all technologies that the company is using at the moment. You can have that in your export CSV right here. And then from there, we're going to click on export. Just like before, in just a few seconds, you're going to see we already have the CSV on the bottom right corner. And again, you can also go to activities, and you're going to see that a CSV export is ready here as well. Now, this is how you can create company searches and people searches in Ocean and export lists in literally 10 to 15 minutes. Now, with that being said, what I also want to show you, which I think, in my opinion, is a very interesting function and feature of Ocean, is a segmentation feature, which you can access from the menu right here on the left side of your screen. So we're going to go to segmentation, and essentially segmentation is a feature that allows you to segment or have Ocean segment for you a list of companies into the most relevant segments based on, again, the companies that he has in the list. Now, I already have a list of PE firms that I downloaded a while back that I want to segment. And in this case, for example, I already did this. I import this list of, I believe it was about 5,000 companies. Yeah, 5.6 thousand companies. And then I had Ocean segment those companies for me. Now, this is very important to do this. I always do this actually in Clay, but now Ocean makes it even easier for me to segment companies into different segments and different lists, because you can create and develop custom funnels or separate copy, like separate campaigns for all of these different segments. And so typically you're going to see better conversion rates if you do this, because the messaging is more tailored to each prospect, to each company. Now, what you can do here to create a new segment is you can go to segmentations right here and then create or go to new segmentation, import a CSV of companies. In this case, I'm going to go here, download this as a CSV, and then import it back right here as a CSV in the segment section right here. We're going to go here and then select optimization. Typically, quick, optimized. Typically go for middle ground options, just optimized. And then granularity, either suggested, very broad, medium, narrow, very narrow. Now, previously, in my previous segmentation I showed you before, I imported the same exact list of companies, and I used a suggested granularity option right here. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select very narrow, just to show you the different segments that Ocean is going to create for us for the specific list of companies. And then we're going to click on next. And then here you can see and you can select the traits for scoring and for segmentation that Ocean should use. Typically I always keep on size, employee, headcount of company, primary country, industry based on Ocean, and then keywords. I think these are the most relevant, but again, it depends on your strategy. You might want to segment by the technology that the company is using. You might want to segment by e-commerce, non-e-commerce companies. You might want to segment by growth traits such as annual revenue, website traffic, headcount growth, and so on. In this case, I want to filter by industry, where the country operates, and kind of the size of where the company operates and the size of the company in terms of employees. So we're going to go here and then click on run segmentation. And then it's going to take a while, maybe a few more minutes. And then from there, we're going to be able to access our list of segmented companies. Now, to show you what it looks like, I'm going to open the first previous version I did of the segment. And as you can see, Ocean did is it created 3 different segments out of my list of 5,600 companies. And essentially, it also gave me an understanding of my total addressable market right here. And then you can see each segment right here based on the traits that I selected in this previous segmentation task. So you can see it discovered a private equity venture capital investment firms, which is the vast majority of my list with 5,031 companies, and then a small minority, so real estate investment asset management firms with 400 companies, and then another section, another segment right here, which is 152 companies. This might actually be irrelevant companies that are not fully relevant to my target criteria. And so what I can do with this is I can either create a separate campaign or not reach out to them at all, right? In this case, I was very interested in the PE firms, venture capital investment firms. So that's the list I'm going to use. You can connect the list to your CRM with this one right here. You can also open it. Let's say we're going to do that. And then this is going to open a company, essentially dashboard or a database with all the companies from this specific segment. With that being said, the last thing I wanted to show you on this Ocean walkthrough is the chat section, which is a really interesting feature in my opinion, because it allows you to create a list in literally seconds by telling to Claude, because this is using Claude, as you can see with the Claude models, what to look for, right? So in this case, let's say I want a list of principals and partners at PE firms in the United States with 11 to 50 employees. And that's it. Let's say I want a list of those people. I'm going to go here and then enter. And then Claude, in this case, Ocean, is going to use Claude to find as many companies as possible, as many contacts as possible in this case, that are relevant to my request. And as you can see here, in literally seconds, it was able to create a list of 12,000 leads, people found. And it also gave me some feedback. So for example, the result is too broad for a working prospecting list, and it suggests me to filter by geography subset or specific focus area like venture capital or SaaS, like target segments like SaaS, LTech, FinTech, recent activities. So people update within the last 1 to 3 months for active investors, and it gives you the option to select one of these recommendations. So let's say this is actually the second one. So it's very interesting to me. So I'm going to click on that, add focus areas such as FinTech and SaaS, and then it asks me to clarify if I'm looking for FinTech focused VC firms or FinTech companies with VC backed PE style structures. Let's say that in this case, we want SaaS focus area. We're going to enter, and then it's going to update the search. Again, literally 5 seconds. It narrowed down the list to about 2,383 people in this search. As you can see, also confirmed 2,000 principals and partners at SaaS-focused venture capital firms in the US with 11 to 50 employees. It says still large for a targeted list for outreach. Now, it kind of depends on what you're doing in this case. If you're doing cold email, in my opinion, probably a big enough list. If you're in LinkedIn outbound, it's probably too big. You want to narrow it down a little bit more. But again, depends on what you want. And then you can also tell it, okay, export the first 500 results. And again, in seconds, it's going to create an export CSV with all of these contacts that it was able to find. All right, that was it for today's video. I hope you got some value from it. If you have any questions or doubts on how to use Ocean, feel free to DM me or simply leave a comment on this video below. Check out the links in the description. you can apply to work with us directly at the outbound agency Beanstalk Consulting, where we'll handle your outbound completely done for you. If you prefer to handle things internally, check out ScaleMail. We're going to set up your outreach inboxes. We're going to handle all the entire technical setup of your email infrastructure completely done for you. So you can actually focus on the campaign creation, launching, managing campaigns, and replying to positive responses. Or at the very least, check out our cold email course right here, which you get access to for free by being a ScaleMail customer automatically. But we also have a free version of this course where you can get started and learn the basics of cold email and how to run successful cold email campaigns. That being said, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here by the end of this video, and I'll see you on the next one.